Hello and welcome to PMsLounge.com. In this video, we are talking about communication as a value in extreme programming. What is extreme programming and why you should study it? Well, extreme programming is one of the ways to achieve agility, right? Scrum is the most popular way to achieve agility. But if you call yourselves an agile practitioner, if you are a professional project manager who knows everything that there is about agile, then just doing scrum isn't enough. Scrum is one of the ways, one of the methods to achieve agility, but there are other ways as well. Extreme programming is one of those. So if you're preparing for your PMI ACP exam or the PMP exam, or if you're someone who works in the agile environment, it is always beneficial to know about extreme programming as well. So just like Scrum, extreme programming also has values, right? And we've talked about two values in the past, which were essentially common to the 5 values of Scrum, that is courage and respect. So we've already talked about these two, and I'll share direct link to the videos where we've discussed these values as part of extreme programming in the description below. So definitely check that out. In fact, the first link is going to be an article on this topic. If you're into reading articles, check out the first link. All right. So courage and respect is something we've already talked about. These are also values of extreme programming, but these are also part of the 5 Scrum values. But communication is one value of extreme programming, which is not one of the 5 Scrum values. And this is a proof that XP places communication pretty high. It gives a lot of importance to communication. In fact, if you want to go over all the videos that we have done so far around extreme programming, check out the 4th link in the description, which is going to be a playlist of all the videos that we have done on extreme programming. All right, let's continue our discussion on communication here. So everyone in the XP team, they believe that whenever you are faced with a problem, you will come up with the best solution if you communicate with your teammates. This is something that everyone in the XP team believe, and I want you to look at this once again. XP team members believe that communication is important. It is so important that every time they face a problem, the solution, the best solution is going to come up only if they communicate with their team members. Now, I know XP, the P in XP stands for programming, and it is easy to think that programmers or engineers, coders, they are basically people who are writing code alone with a headphone on in some dark room, right? But that is not the case. Yes, it is true that a lot of people get into this flow and want to code, but at the same time, communication is extremely important. And it is easy because of the movies. You see a lot of hackers and coders coding in dark with their headphones on and not caring about what's going on in the world. But that's far from reality when it comes to teams doing programming. XP teams, they actually work together. They plan together. They collaborate to figure out what they are building. And they can even code together using practices like pair programming. And here, I would like to urge you to check out one of our podcast episodes where the expert that we had, her name was Johanna, and she talked about pair programming, she talked about swarming, she talked about some of the concepts that extreme programming teams and agile teams in general are using. And this is far away from, a coder coding in the dark with headphones on. It's not like that. It's a collaborative effort. In fact, coding is a social activity. Now, let's talk about informative workspace. In one of our previous videos, which is the functioning of XP teams, we've already talked about how the workspaces for XP teams are designed. That video will also be linked in the description below. But what exactly is informative workspace? So one of the XP practices that enhances communication is how the workspace is designed, the design of the workspace itself. An informative workspace ensures the team is constantly absorbing information from one another, and it fosters continuous collaboration and knowledge sharing. None of this would be possible. Whatever that you see in this sentence, none of this would be possible if programmers were sitting alone in the dark churning out code, right? So two of the most useful tools that XP teams use to make their workspace more informative are information radiators and osmotic communication. We'll talk about both of these in just a minute, because before we go there, I'd like to remind you about our premium course Scrum 101. This is a 2-hour masterclass which is going to take you from a beginner to a pro when it comes to Scrum. Scrum is obviously the most powerful framework that helps teams deliver projects efficiently and adaptively. This premium course is available on Udemy, and right now we have a coupon code Eid Mubarak, since Eid is around the corner. If you apply this for the first 100 people, this course is going to be absolutely free. So definitely grab this coupon code from the description, go to the link in the description, apply this coupon code and get access to this 2-hour Scrum 101 masterclass absolutely free. All right, let's talk about the two practices that help XP teams create an informative workspace. The first one is an information radiator. Have you ever been to an office, or have you ever seen this in your own office? Have you ever been to an office that uses something like this? Have you yourself used something like this? This seems to be a product backlog to me, but this is an example of an information radiator. These are nothing but visual tools. It can be big taskboard, it can be large TV displays, right? Screens showing key progress metrics like, let's say, burn down charts. It can also show your entire backlog, right? So the whole idea here is that these radiators are placed at a location such that all XP team members can see it from their work area. The idea is that these radiators radiate information by being placed in a clearly visible area within the workspace. And this is making the workspace more informative. You don't have to do anything. You are sitting on your workspace, you're coding, and you look up and you see that backlog or that burn down chart, and you get a lot of information by just sitting on your own workspace. So this is an example of an informative workspace. Another practice that XP teams use is known as osmotic communication. Now, do you remember what osmosis was? You might have read about this in your school, but essentially osmosis is the phenomenon where water flows across a membrane to equalize concentrations. So this is a membrane, water is flowing across to equalize the concentration, right? There is a similar concept known as selective permeation, and it involves the membrane, this membrane being selective about which particles in water, right? These are all particles in water, which ones are allowed through the membrane. That is known as selective permeation. So why are we discussing osmosis here? The fact is, being around people that are discussing project, it allows you to absorb information effortlessly. And this is an example of osmotic communication. Obviously, this is something which will not happen if you are sitting alone in the dark churning out code, right? This will only happen if you are sitting around people that are working on your project and they are discussing details about the project, right? They are talking about the project. They might be discussing their own problems, but based on the information that they are discussing, it is possible that you overhear someone talking about your project and you get a certain information which might be useful for you. In fact, let me know in the comments, how often does this happen to you, where two people are talking about some process or some information of the project which is actually useful to you as well. And this is an example of an informative workspace. Now, let me give you another point here, which is the selective permeation that we talked about in the first point, right? The selective permeation, which means what happens here is that we all have the ability to be selective about the project details that we absorb, similar to selective permeation. So you don't have to overhear everything. You don't have to get into the details of what two of your colleagues are talking about when it comes to the project, because you can apply the selective permeation concept and only grab information which is helpful for you. So let me know in the comments, osmotic communication, is this something that you already practice but we are never aware of the fact that this is known as osmotic communication? That's all that we had in this video. I hope you got value out of it. I hope you were able to understand why communication is so important when it comes to extreme programming. And this is the video that you should share to anyone who thinks that programmers sit in a dark room with their headphones on and code alone. That's not how it works. If you like our work, consider contributing by going over to pmclounge.com/contribute. Like, share, subscribe, and keep learning by checking out our other videos. Don't forget the Scrum 101 training program, which is available for free for the first 100 people that apply the coupon code Eid Mubarak. Check out the description for more details. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.